Welcome to the VO School podcast, dedicated to the art, craft, and business of voiceover. Each week builds upon the last to give you a comprehensive understanding of a career in VO. My name's Jamie Muffett. I'm a full-time voice talent and audio engineer, and I'll be joined by some of the industry's top professionals on both sides of the microphone to drill down and dig up the truth. Hello, welcome to the VO School podcast. Today's episode is devoted entirely to microphones, so please excuse us if we get a little geeky. All three of us have somewhat of an unhealthy obsession with microphones, so I think that will probably come across. Before we get to the interview, we've got a few bits of housekeeping to do. For all the links to the social media and the places where you can listen to the podcast, visit our website, which is voschoolpodcast.com. And please do follow us on our social media because it is the best place to stay up to date on all that we're doing. And it's a good way to get in touch if you have any questions or suggestions. Other than that, I think that's pretty much everything. So without further ado, here's a quick ad and our interview with Emmett Andrews and Dan Friedman.
The National Zoo. Because sometimes you just need to stroke a llama.
Instagram. Download it and start embarrassing your teenagers today.
Resolve spot and stain. Because
basically they have the electronics of a preamp and an interface all built into the casing of that microphone. So it's a lot of stuff crammed into a really small little place, but at the same time, it's all self-contained, so that's all there is. You plug it in, and generally it just sort of works. Dynamic microphones and condenser microphones, you're going to have something external to get those into the computer, usually a preamp and an interface, either separate or built into one unit. Dynamic microphones work on strictly an acoustic principle with the transducer, where vibrations are making all the voltage. Condensers, they get a little extra power externally, so they're more sensitive. And then the fourth category would be ribbon mics, which a lot of people think of as the old kind of microphone, and they've kind of had a resurgence, but that's a little folded piece of foil, accordion-style folded piece of foil that vibrates, and you don't see those a whole lot, and usually the people using those have other mics in their collection because they're just sort of a specialized thing. Yeah. Did I miss anything with there? Any gaping holes in that?
Feels good to me.
Yeah. So Dan, why would you choose one over another in that sort of 3 or 4?
Well, first of all, let's talk about, dynamic mics are very versatile, built like tanks. They're often used in radio stations. They are used on instruments, great microphones. But because of their mechanical nature in the way that they pick up sound, they generally need a little bit more sound pressure level in order to reach their full potential. So in other words, the source sound has to be kind of loud, or you have to work the mic really up close to make that work. So that's not always ideal for what we do in voiceover, because often a voiceover read is barely over a whisper. It could just be right down in here, right? So a dynamic microphone is not going to perform as well as a condenser microphone, which works electronically to capture sound. Now, as a ribbon microphone, because that's typically going to be bidirectional or figure 8 in its polar pattern, that introduces room noise and things of that nature. So that can be problematic. So that's why we tend to not use those unless we have a really good treated room.